जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय गो प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। So thank you so much everyone for coming for the Sunday Feast program at Sri Sri Kishore Kishori Temple. We welcome you all. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry for that one interruption. We will continue with our discussion. We have just half an hour, so I will be very quick so I don't stop you from going to Prasadam. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so I would be speaking certain things, but as I said, it is said that in Bhagavatam it says that three kinds of people get benefited when we talk about Krishna. One is the person who is speaking, the person or people who are listening, and the general people who just walks in, they also get benefited. All the living entities get benefited. That is the power of Krishna Katha, or talking about Krishna. So I'll be talking about Krishna, but it is not me who is talking. The words that are coming out of my mouth, but I'm just an instrument of our Guru Parampara, the disciplic succession of our spiritual masters, starting from Srila Prabhupada. They are actually speaking through me because that's how the Parampara works. The only credit that I have is I'm sincerely trying to follow them. That's all. So anything that you like today, so credit goes to them. Anything that you don't like, the fault is mine. So please come and do let me know what you don't like, so I can improve. So because if I were to speak something out of my own accord, or something which I invented, then I would remember it, right? But after sometimes this happens. After the talk, somebody comes and says, "Hey, I like this point. You mentioned it very nicely." So I say, "Really? Did I say that?" So it is not me. That's what it is. So many times it happens. I prepare an entire presentation, very nicely. I'll say this, I'll say that, I'll say this, and when I come here, it is something else that comes out of the mouth. So it is not really me. So please bless me so I can speak something which will benefit all of you here. So today's topic that we were going to discuss is talking about spiritual sale. Yeah, and we are saying only 10 days are left. What is the spiritual sale? So we're talking about the month of Kartik, which is the month that we are in right now. A very auspicious month, and I'll touch upon this in the end of the presentation of how we can make the best use of this month of Kartik. Just like our Thanksgiving sale, why is it so hyped? Black Friday, everybody is standing out on the stores with a big line, because very, very difficult things or very, very expensive things are available for cheap price, right? That's why there is a big, huge line behind. So same thing with spiritual process. This month is a discount month, a month where little spiritual activity will give us very, great results, thousands of times more. So why not take this process so seriously? Now you may say, okay, if that is the case, then why are we only few people here? Yeah, the first thing is because the speaker is like that, so that's why people are not coming. The other thing is we don't advertise this well, like the Thanksgiving sale. So here I am, I'm here to advertise Kartik, and I have a whole 45 minutes to do that. So usually advertisements are 10 seconds. So but I get 45 minutes, so that's nice. So you will be listening about what benefits you'll get from Kartik. Before I go there, I want to structure this talk. The presentation will be in three parts. First, I will try to explain what Krishna consciousness is. We hear about Krishna consciousness. What is this Krishna consciousness? Why is it so important for us to take up this process of Krishna consciousness? What is the importance of this Krishna consciousness? Then I'll talk about what is that one thing, one very essential thing that is required to obtain Krishna consciousness and to stay fixed in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. And then I'll talk about how we make the best use of this month so we can get that thing which is very essential for our Krishna consciousness. Okay. So the first topic, what is Krishna consciousness? Everybody knows, if we look at the word Krishna consciousness, consciousness is something which we are aware of in our surroundings. People are aware. In fact, the energy and effort and thoughts in which people put their, in the activities that people put their thoughts, that's what most of the people are conscious about. For example, if a businessman, he's conscious about money, so he's money conscious. Wherever he sees, he says, okay, how I can make money, right? That is his consciousness. If a person is, very artistic, a poet, for example, he's looking for beauty everywhere. A poetic beauty, he will basically look at a flower and write a poem. So he is conscious about beauty. Everywhere he's looking, he's conscious about that because that's where his thoughts and activities are. Then suppose you have somebody who is a philosopher. He'll try to philosophize every situation that he sees. So that is because the consciousness is invested in that activity, right? So when we talk about Krishna consciousness, the idea is to invest, to deliberately understand or to focus our consciousness on Krishna. Now who is Krishna, right? So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now some may say, okay, Krishna seems to be a very sectarian name, right? So however, Krishna, and this was something which our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada also mentioned, because when he was incorporating the society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, some disciples suggested, why not God consciousness? Why do you put Krishna consciousness? It sounds very sectarian. So he said, listen to this, it's very profound. He said that God is a very generic term. In Sanskrit, there is a word called Ishwar. Now, Ishwar is something who can control. So God is somebody who can control. So, but everybody who can control, who has some control, I have control over my family, I have control over my business, the president has the control over the country. So they're all called Ishwars, in some respect, in some way, form, shape. So how do we distinguish the supreme controller? So that is where the word Krishna comes, right? Now some may say, okay, what about Allah, the Almighty God, where Christians call them Almighty. So what about them? So let's analyze. So Allah Akbar is what Muslims call Supreme Lord. What does it mean? It means the greatest one, right? The Christians call him Almighty, the all-powerful one, right? So the word Krishna in Sanskrit means all attractive. It means all attractive. So if God is all powerful, if he's great, does not greatness and power attract us? It does. So it is, and if a person has all of these attributes, he is all attractive. So there's no difference between calling him Allah or Krishna or God. But the idea of calling him Krishna is it indicates a personality. So even Prabhupada translated, he didn't translate simply God. He said Supreme Personality of Godhead. Emphasizing God is a person. He's a person, he has likes, he has dislikes, he is relatable. Yeah. So because many of our, we think of God, but we don't have a clear idea of who God is. So from the Vedic wisdom, we get this idea that God is a person. And we get the idea that what God, he does, where does he live, how does he look, all of this information is available. And that is the reason why we can connect with him. Yeah, if I want to love somebody, I need to know how he looks, what he does, what is his nature. So that is the idea. Now, the second point what I wanted to make was, why should we even think about Krishna consciousness? Why should we have this urge, or why should we even endeavor? Why should I put my time, I said my valuable time, this is Sunday evening, why should I come here and listen to this? Why should I even do this? What is the benefit I'll get? Yeah. So this is where we understand from our Vedic wisdom, from the books like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, which says that a constitutional position of a spirit soul is to look for happiness. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody here is looking for happiness. Yeah, nobody's working 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and at the end of the day, praying to become miserable. Although we become miserable, right? But everybody is looking for happiness. The whole drive is to become happy some way, so that we can live and enjoy our life. Because that is not unnatural. That is what the soul is. The soul is looking for. As scriptures say, and what is the soul? Soul is a part of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. So scriptures say Krishna is Ishvara, Parama, Krishna, Satchid Ananda Vigraha, which means Ananda. He is full of bliss. So naturally his part is also full of bliss. But why don't we find that bliss here? That's the question, right? There are so many upheavals, ups and downs in this material world. Again, Vedic rituals come to our rescue. And what they say, the happiness that we find in the material world is fleeting. So there is some happiness. Everybody agrees? There is some happiness. But it is fleeting. It keeps changing. Sometimes happy, sometimes very sad. Sometimes miserable, sometimes very happy. That keeps changing. It's like a sine curve. I don't know if people know this. Just goes up and down like a roller coaster ride. So that is the situation of this material world. Example given in the scriptures is, in the olden times, people used to be punished. The criminals, they used to be punished, and how they used to be punished is, the cops would take their mouth and put them in water for some time, and they will be struggling to breathe, and they will take him out for a second, or two, and then he would this is happiness, and then he'll again put him down. So that is our situation in this world. The lack of misery is considered happiness. It is really a very realistic picture that scriptures paint. But it is not all pessimistic. It gives you a positive alternative where to find the happiness. Okay. So the next step is, the happiness is in relationships. Now, relationships. Relationships in material world have a bad taste many times. So how can we say happiness is in relationships? Okay, even relationships in material world may not be very congenial, but can we live without relationships? Is there a way? Because you will be sitting in a room, you will be happy for a few days, but after that you will be looking for somebody to associate. Right? Otherwise there is no happiness. That is the nature of a soul. You need to have relationships. And the idea of being supremely happy, blissful, is having a relationship, a loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Primarily, people relate with God in three primary ways. Yeah, one is out of fear, one is out of duty, and the other one is out of love. It goes in a progressive way. Fear in the sense okay, if I don't do the right things, God will punish me. Yeah. So that saves us from sin. Definitely, that's a good thing, to be fearful of God. Duty, people are grateful. Oh, God gives us so much of light, air, all these things. So I should worship the Lord out of duty. Because He is giving me, I'm grateful to Him. I'm going to worship Him out of duty. That is another way. But the highest way, the scriptures say, is out of love. Unconditional love. It says that even if Krishna does not respond, even if Krishna is, or God is not responding to my prayers, I will still keep worshipping Him. That is the idea of love. Love is unconditional. Unconditional means no matter what the lover does, but I will always love that person. That is the topmost level in which person can relate. And this is what the Vedic wisdom's text, which is the devotional service text or the yoga text, talks about. Bhagavad Gita essentially talks about this as the essence of entire discourse that happens between Krishna and Arjuna. So it mentions there are 5 primary mellows in which one can relate to Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is very unique in the Krishna conscious movement. One is in awe and reverence. You can be very much attracted to the greatness of the Lord, and you worship in awe and reverence. Yeah. The other one is in servitorship, which means you become a servant. You think yourself to be servant of the Supreme Lord, and you try to serve the Supreme Lord. Yeah. The third one is friendship. Yeah. There is access to become a friend of the Supreme Lord. Krishna is willing to become a friend. He is willing to become our friend. Based on what kind of a emotion we develop for Him. The next stage is parental. You can become a father or mother of the Lord. Usually we think of them as your father and mother, but in this relationship, because this parental relationship is very special, because then father and mother start thinking that Krishna is my child. If I don't feed them, he will die. So there is a lot of anxiety there for the Supreme Lord. And the last and final topmost relationship that is mentioned is conjugal love. So becoming a lover of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So this is available. This is available in the Vedic wisdom, and very beautifully it is explained. So this is why we have to endeavor to become Krishna consciousness. If we want to be happy, this is what the scriptures say, if we want to be happy, we want to develop one of these relationships with the Supreme Lord so that we can be eternally happy serving Him in that mood. Right? So, but the relationship that we want to develop is, so that is why Krishna consciousness is not optional. I would not say it's an optional. Some people can do it, some may not do it. Like we sometimes say that, spirituality is optional for me. I sometimes go, I sometimes don't come. But it's not optional. If you see, if a living entity is looking for happiness, and this is the route to become happy, then this relationship has to be nurtured, has to be focused on, has to be developed. So that is why Krishna consciousness is a must for everybody. Now, how you approach it, that is where we want to get to, right? Yeah. So, what is the process to get there? The process to become Krishna conscious is devotional service, which Prabhupada mentions. He doesn't say just devotion; he says devotional service, engaging in service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we understand who God is, we understand Krishna's attributes, we understand how he is a person, and we associate with people who understand him as a person, then we can develop this Krishna consciousness. Right? So, the first point we mentioned is, what is Krishna consciousness? Why Prabhupada mentioned ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Then we said that why it is important to develop Krishna consciousness and how it is a must for a living entity to do so. Now, let's focus on what is that one thing that will be required, which is a must. One must have this to become Krishna conscious, to develop this relationship with the Lord. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam which says, Tata te deva padambujadvaya prasadaleshanugrahita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanye kopi chiram vichinnam. So this comes in context to a pastime. This is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a book about Krishna, all the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, all full of stories. It's available in the bookstore. You can have a look at it. Very wonderful book. And in this book, there is one incident that happens. So, as per the Vedic wisdom, the secondary creator of this universe, Lord Brahma, who is the devotee of the Lord, he creates the entire universe. Yeah. So, the primary creator is Krishna. He puts the seed in, and then all the work that, all the detailed work is done by Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, one time, so when Krishna came here to the material world, he made his residence in Vrindavan, which is a town in India. And he was doing his pastimes. As a child, he was born, he was having friends and he's playing. As I said, he's a person, so he had his friends, he was playing with them in the forests of Vrindavan. And it so happened that he used to kill a lot of demons because he is God. Even the demons would come, he would just kill them. And one such incident happened, and Lord Brahma was astonished because this demon which he killed was very huge and very big and had troubled a lot of demigods and everybody, all the living entities. So he was astonished. How could a small boy kill such a big demon? Yeah. And so he was very astonished. He was thinking, maybe he's not God. I'll have to go and check it out. Some magic he is doing. And when he actually saw Krishna, he was feeding, he was playing with cowherd boys. He was eating, he was sharing food, and he was taking the food out of other boys' mouth and putting it in his own mouth. So Brahmaji said, "What is this? This is not God. When we do worship to the Lord, we have to be very purified. Everything should be very clean and nice, and then we offer to Krishna." But here Krishna is taking the food from other person's mouth and putting in his own mouth. So then Brahma thought, I think I'm mistaken. This is not God. I need to test him. So this is secondary creator. He is the topmost person in management of this material universe. So he's thinking like that. So what he did is he took away all the boys and left. He left to his abode. All the friends who were there, he left except Krishna. I'm just cutting the story down a little bit. So he left, and then Krishna was here, and he was looking for his friends. Where are his friends? They were right now here, but now all of them just disappeared. Where are they? So he understood, because he is God. He understood that Brahmaji is playing a trick on him. Yeah. So then through his power, he created exact replica of all his friends in there. So Brahmaji, after some time, he came back and saw, I just took the friends of Krishna to my abode, and here they are still playing with him. How is that possible? Then Krishna displayed his opulent form, form of Lord Vishnu. And then he was Brahma was totally mesmerized. So, wow, this is Krishna. This is my Lord. And then he came to his senses, and he's reciting this prayer to Lord Krishna, saying that, no matter how much learned I may become, how many years may I try to analyze your activities or look at you or read the Vedic literatures, but I cannot understand you until I get one part of your mercy. Okay. So without the mercy of the Supreme Lord, it is very impossible to understand Krishna. Krishna all over Bhagavad Gita says that the process to reach him is only through devotional service. And this is just a very crude example. If I have a friend, or maybe I have a colleague, and I want to know him more closely. I cannot just read about him in books, or talk to some other people and understand him. I need to understand him through somebody who is very close to him. Then I can understand, or I can develop a relationship with him and then understand him. Correct? So that is the same thing with Krishna. You cannot understand Krishna through books. Yes, you will get some idea of God. But if you want to know him in and out, you want to develop devotional service, that is what he says. So it's not that easy. But it's also not that difficult, because our spiritual masters are here who can help us with that. So that mercy is so much important. Mercy is one thing that we definitely need. Now, shall we just have mercy and it's all good? So there is no endeavor on our part? No, that's not true. We do have to make an endeavor. We do have to do our practices on a regular basis to show our sincerity, so the mercy can flow, right? So in the material world, when we want to become successful in any project, you need to have skills, you need to have hard work, you need to do all these things. Then you become successful, right? But in spiritual world, the mathematics works a little slightly different. Yes, you need hard work, you need the skills, but you need a lot of mercy. Yeah, so mercy is very, very important, of the devotees and also of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the mercy of the Supreme Lord flows through the devotees. Yeah, so that is how Krishna has made the system. He gave the authority to the devotees to give Krishna to everybody. And the topmost devotee of the topmost devotee of the Supreme Lord is Srimati Radharani. Now, I'm not very qualified to speak about her at all, but I'll give you a brief understanding of who she is, so you get a context. Srimati Radharani is the female counterpart from the principal perspective, female counterpart of God. So it is like Krishna and Radharani are not different people. They became different because, as I said, relationship is where happiness is. To enjoy the relationship of conjugal mellow, they become two. So Krishna and Radharani, they are like they are called energy and the energetic. Yeah. So Radharani is the energy of Krishna, the internal energy of Krishna. This example is given like the heat, the flower and the fragrance. You cannot separate the flower from the fragrance, right? Or the moon and the moonlight, they are inseparable. They will always be there together. So when we talk about Krishna, Krishna is not alone. He is with his companions. He is with cowboys or with cows or with Srimati Radharani, like that. So the manifestation of Krishna's mercy is Srimati Radharani. Yeah. Just like in our, this is again a very crude example. Suppose before marriage, men are like lion in the jungle, right? I can do whatever I like. I'm free to do whatever I like. But what happens after marriage? Anybody? There are a lot of experienced people here. Huh? Ankush. They become, actually, in my view, they become like lion in the circus. So, I'm telling from my experience. So, anyway, so what I meant to say by this is that there is, like, similarly, in the relationship of Radharani and Krishna, there is a love that is so powerful. Krishna becomes very handpicked to Radharani, right? If Radharani says that this devotee is very good, Krishna has to accept you. So that's why in Vrindavan, people know the way. Just like kids, they know where to go, right? They want something, they'll not go to the father. They go to the mother, because father will say, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? Like Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, you do this, do this, do this, then you come to me. But if you go to Radharani, they say, okay, he did little bit, take him. Yeah? Right? So that is what Radharani is, very merciful. So she is the manifestation of mercy. And this month we're talking about is the month of Kartik, is the month when, it is the month of Radharani. Yeah, this is called Urja Vrata. This month is called Urja Vrata. Now, Urja Vrata means, Urja means energy. Anybody who knows a little Sanskrit, they will say, Urja means energy. And Radharani is the energy of Krishna. Right? So, in this month, Radharani's month is a very special month because she is very merciful in this month. Anybody who prays to her, anybody who performs little devotional service to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they get entrance into her pastimes. So, and they will get lots of benefits, thousands and thousands of times more. So why not take this advantage? That is what I was meaning by the spiritual sale. It's a sale where spirituality, as I said, Krishna consciousness is so important for the living entity. If we want to start our process also, this is the right month to do it. There's a sale going on. For little, you get more. Right? So that is very important. And those who are already practicing, just increase our intensity a little bit more. That is what is important. Rupa Goswami, one of our predecessor, spiritual masters, he mentions in his work that there is a verse called Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Api Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukrutir Nalabhyate. Which means, he says that if you find Krishna consciousness anywhere, if somebody is selling Krishna consciousness anywhere, you buy it right away. You take it right away. Why? Because Janma Koti Sukrutibir Nalabhyate. If you spend millions of births doing pious activities, doing charity, doing all the good things that are mentioned in the Vedic scriptures or any other scriptures, you still cannot get Krishna consciousness. Because as I mentioned, Krishna said, only devotional service pleases him, not great charity or any pious activity. So you will never get it. Even if you do, pious activities for millions and millions of births. So if you find Krishna consciousness anywhere, buy it right away. So what is the price? Do I have to pay $1 million? Do I have to work very hard to get $1 million and then pay that and get that Krishna consciousness? No. He says, Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam. Lolyam means intense spiritual greed. Greed. Usually we say, don't be greedy, be nice. But here we are saying that we can use this greed for obtaining Krishna. So intense spiritual greed, this intensity that I want to start this process of Krishna consciousness. I want to become Krishna consciousness. I want to surrender my life to a Supreme Lord. Slow by slow. I'm not saying overnight we should do that. I understand the importance of this process, and that is what it means. So intense greed, so important is Krishna consciousness. And when we have an opportunity in this month to take full benefit of it, why not do it? Yeah. So you see, this month is so special. Even Krishna and Radharani put many of the festivals into this one compact month. Yeah. It starts with Sharad Purnima, where Ras Leela has been glorified. Then you have Gopa Ashtami. Then you have Govardhan Puja that we just celebrated. We have Diwali. We have Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day festival. So many festivals, so many opportunities to engage in devotional service during these times. Yeah. We have now, last 5 days of Kartik will be called Bhishma Panchaka, when when Bhishma Dev left his body. He is one, very great personality, one great devotee. So people follow that as well. So there are a lot of opportunities to do that. So many festivals are basically put into this 1 month. Yeah. The other opportunities we have is to engage in service here. As Rupa Goswami said, that if you find Krishna consciousness anywhere, then grab it. And this is the place. Prabhupada made this very wonderful institution so we can all together become Krishna conscious. So why not take that opportunity? There are a lot of services opportunities here. There are a lot of help that is needed. Wonderful things can be done together. And we also have opportunity to do book distribution, because we are almost kicking off. In fact, today we are starting our campaign for book distribution. So there is a lot of opportunity to sponsor books. There is going to be Gita Yagya's recitation of Gita. Anybody who is interested, they can give it to their neighbors. The Bhagavad Gita book is very wonderful. So all these things are available. People who have not started chanting, they can start chanting the holy names of the Lord. People who are already chanting can increase their rounds a little bit more. So these are some of the ways in which you can make the best use of this month. So this is what I would recommend everybody to take full advantage of. We definitely have our Damodar Aarti, which is going to start very soon at 7:30. So please participate in that. In this month of Kartik, anybody who offers a lamp to the Supreme Lord will also benefit a lot spiritually. They will get this desire to start the process of Krishna consciousness or become more serious about it. Yeah. So this is something which I wanted to share in the short time that I had. So I think we already are over time. So what we will do is, next step is in the prasadam, so the third floor. Thank you so much all for. Okay. Is there any questions anybody wants to ask, or comments, reflections? Okay. No. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What do you want? Sure. Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much, bro. Can you buy pizza? You want pizza?
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi